So he's actually, he's a bee. It's hard to see because it's light up here, but it's a bee with TJ Hollowaychuk's head. It's hard to see. I wanted to make sure everyone knew. I spent a lot of time on cutting out his head. I found out some cool stuff actually from preparing for this talk. I learned some cool things about some of the graphical editing stuff that I have on my computer. So that's good. That's good. Anyway, hi. I think everyone's here. I think we're ready to go. So this is me. You should follow me on Twitter because I like Twitter followers a lot. So they can listen to me talk about really important stuff all the time. Mostly I just retweet stuff. So if you like retweets, you should follow me. And a little fun fact. Me and Marcus Prince used to kind of organize this meetup for like a year and a half maybe. Did you go? You went there, didn't you? Back like 6 or 7 years ago. Which one? To the ViennaJS meetup in MetaLab. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it was like I think there were like 4 of us generally, maybe 6. If we had 8 people, we were like whoa. And then like one time we had 12 people, and we were like holy crap, like this is really picking up. And then Franz took over eventually and like made it so lots of people come, and you're doing a fantastic job right now. Like great job organizing. Like I think it's awesome that there's always pizza and beer and stuff and like woo. So I build bots using Elixir now. I've been using Elixir for a bit and I really like it. It's a fun programming language. If you haven't checked it out, maybe look at something. I don't know. Look at the site. Look at some tutorials or something. Play with it. It's really fun to play with. And like it's kind of like when I started working with Ruby a long time ago, it made me happy. I was like, oh, I can program and it feels good. And then I've since tried to kind of push that out of my head more and be like, these are all tools. Don't get them too much in your head. Don't feel like you're a Rubyist or I don't know what is a JavaScript person called? A JavaScripter? What is it? Does anyone know? Whatever. So I've been trying to push that out, but like now with Elixir, it's coming back again. I'm like, I love it. But I'm using Messenger, doing some stuff. If you guys want some bot work, I'm hireable, I guess. So first a question, is anyone here a freelancer? A few here. Does anyone maybe want to become a freelancer? Or, wow, that's not a lot of people. You love having your jobs or being unemployed. Awesome. And the people who are, everyone, like, do people have productivity issues at work, at home, at everything? There's like 3 people. Yeah, it's super bullshit. But so I have something to admit that I have like, I've had in the past, I'll say, a lot of productivity issues. So these are actually all books that I own. I own more books than this about this. I actually do own some programming books as well. But yeah, so I wanted to kind of like actually I'm going to do something about this. I don't think I've read that Mini Habits book, but the other ones, yep, good stuff. And this other book, really fantastic. This isn't about productivity. It's about kind of cleaning your shit. And I've been trying to, it's about your house and your space, but I've been trying to kind of move it into my life, like on my computer or my emails or even projects that I take on. Like I have a tendency to take on way too many projects. I think that's why my productivity goes in the toilet. But this book is really fantastic for kind of a lot of things. I'm going to bash my head against the speaker a bit. So with all of my productivity issues, I was like kind of thinking about on the internet, thinking what's going on? I keep seeing TJ Hollowaychuk and all of his amazing stars. He has like a lot of stars on all of his things. It's really crazy. So I found this, I was on Quora, and if you want a way to become crappy at productivity, you should get on Quora a bit because they're like magicians with knowing what you think is interesting. And like I can seriously dump like 6 hours into it. It's really like, it's incredible. They're just like, they're amazing there. But so I found this question, and so the answer, I'm going to read this actually. I don't normally like to do this during a talk, but so first, let's admit the facts. As of today, it is possible to produce a competitive Node application whose entire stack will comfortably rest on various frameworks, tools, and libraries developed exclusively by TJ. If you are doing things with Node, you will not escape TJ. He is omnipresent. His license is MIT. His name is cited over 1.3 million times in public source code on GitHub. He is single, 26 years old. This was in like a few years ago, so he's like 28 or 29. His pet ferret Toby is a running gag in the JavaScript community. On a typical Sunday, TJ will write more JavaScript code than you will write in a week, and it will be cleaner and more succinct. And it goes on to talk about that he also can like answer all of the GitHub issues and have 20 messages on Twitter at the same time while he's writing code that's better than yours. So this is what this person thinks. This is what this person thinks about TJ. This is kind of what a lot of people think about TJ. So then, but at the beginning of the article, this is what he wrote. It's very likely that TJ is a hive mind. So a hive mind is just kind of like a number of people that are all coming together with their knowledge, with their ideas. But in this case, they pretend that they are this person. So there's this theory that he's not a real person. It's really just a group of talented JavaScripters. So some of the reasons that he gave are he had style changes over time, but whatever, that happens with my code too. There's only kind of one video that you can see him kind of in the corner. He owns, if you try to buy an IO domain, you would see TJ's name on lots of them. You'd be like, oh, I can't buy it because TJ bought it. So that I don't know what that's about. He's never at conferences, and then there's a bunch of other things. So these are the reasons why TJ is a hive mind. So what I'm actually going to talk about first is something that is kind of a little bit softer because we just had a neural networks talk, which has made you like hard in your brain. You had to think really hard. So this is going to be more kind of like kind of tips. And then we'll get to some more code-like stuff. But so what I found is there's certain things that I'm constantly changing the things that I'm trying to do to be productive, but there's certain things that I come back to always that are really, really effective that I always fall back on. And first of all, I want to talk about the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. So efficiency is doing something with using very, very little resources, be that time or money, kind of over and over again using very little resources, while effectiveness is doing the right thing, like choosing the right thing to do. And these things aren't the same at all. And one way that I find that I can become more efficient and effective is by setting goals. So, but goals are not always the same. They have different qualities. And I think the ones that I set that are the most powerful, the ones that work the best, are goals that are measurable. So I want to build I want to work on my JavaScript side project is not measurable. Like I want to work on my JavaScript side project and I don't know, answer or complete 10 issues on GitHub. Like that's measurable. You know when you've actually completed that. Another thing that's important is that it's time-based, so that you can say, I need to do that by Friday. Otherwise, you don't know when you ever are going to complete your goal. And the thing that I find the most important is to find out why this is a goal. Like why is this important to you? And this question kind of stops me from doing lots of wasting of time that seems like it's not wasting time. And the reason all of this is a problem is this thing called the omnivore's dilemma. It's about food, but I like to bring it into kind of this realm, or the paradox of choice, where we have a world especially with JavaScript, there's always new things to learn. You're constantly learning new things. There's always new kinds of things to learn. And when I'm working, I can say, hey, this is work right now. I'm learning. I'm teaching myself right now. And as I said, it's really especially like this with JavaScript. But if you have these goals and you know, oh, I actually don't need to learn about neural networks right now. I need to learn about my Angular app is falling down. I should spend a bunch of time working on Angular. Then when you're reading about neural networks, you can say, oh, I'm actually doing the wrong thing, even though I'm learning a lot of stuff right now. And if you want to check out, there's a book about goals and this kind of paradox of choice, all that stuff there. Another technique that I'm using is the Pomodoro technique. I actually used it to write this talk. It's named after a tomato timer. Pomodoro means tomato in Italian, or paradisa. And it's the point of it is that you set it for 25 minutes. You work on one task, focus for the whole time, and then it makes an awful sound, and then you take a break for 5 minutes, and then you do that again. And then after, I think 4 of them, you're supposed to do a 15-minute break, whatever. And this really helps me, like, I know it's kind of like what the goal is focusing me on the macro. This focuses me on the micro, where I'm like, someone's calling right now, or I'm getting Slack messages or some bullshit. Like I can totally ignore this right now because I'm in my Pomodoro, and then when I'm done, I can tend to that. And then you find that your day goes by really fast. You get a lot of stuff done. It's like, it's good. It's really hard for me to take the breaks though. That's the hardest thing with Pomodoro for me. Pomodori. Another thing, if you're freelancers for like 7 people or ever raise their hands, for me, office hours work really well. So if I say I'm going to open at 9:30 and close at 5, that works. It means that I need to be starting work then. I need to be available for people to call. And then at the end, I can say, screw this, I'm done. I'm going home. I'm hanging out with my family. Good times. My 6-year-old just started first grade, and I don't get any sleep anymore. So like, if my eyes are black underneath, it's because I get like 4 hours of sleep now. Great talks too. So so now we're actually going to, now you can see as a B, we're going to get to some code. So I wanted to show some of the code that TJ has written, kind of some of the history. It's like the history of Node a little bit. But yeah, actually that browser thing was kind of gnarly. So we're going to see if this even actually works. So here is the first commit of Express. And you will see that it's really boring. There's a license, and here is Express. There it is. And here's the test. Yay, Express. There's some comments. So yeah, that's boring. So the next, like the first thing that anything's actually going on is this commit, which is also not a super interesting commit, but you can see that it's actually the beginning of Express. We got big E Express, which looks weird to us these days. And in server, we're calling, Node was a global back in the day, or is it still a global? Can you still call Node? Does any Node developer know if that's a thing? Right here, sorry, I'm down at the bottom. So this is what ran Express, is this essentially. All right, so yeah, cool. So we actually have Express. This is Express, we have it, it exists. Woo! So this is like, I think Express has like a gazillion stars. No, what's going on? Does it really? There it is, 27,000, there we go. I'm really, stars are really important to me. So here, this is no more ASCII art. Here is what, this is the first time I'm kind of a child. So this is the first time that he says fucking shit. I think there's 2 where I looked for swearing. It's really important to me also. And it's also just, he's like, here are some exceptions. They're not really that important though. People can deal with them themselves. So yay. So here's another thing, Koa. Maybe you've heard of it. It's got a lot of stars too, which are, you know, is my thing. Koa is an interesting library if you want to see like a real case for generators, because I've had a hard time kind of like being like, oh, generators are useful. But it's used a lot in here. You can read the source code. There's examples. If you look at the first commit here, I'm actually not going to go to the spot, but there's an examples folder at that point that kind of, I think, better exemplifies kind of generators in that sense. Like, there's a lot of generators. There's async being used. It's good stuff. If you want to read some source code and find out a little bit more about that, it's a good time. Yeah, so TJ recently, maybe not recently, maybe it was like 2.5 years ago, I have no idea anymore, left the Node community and started doing Golang. And if you're interested in Golang at all, there are a huge amount of Go libraries that he has written, and I look through them, and it's nice. It's really, really nice code. It's really easy to read. It makes Go. Lots of people look at Go and they're like, that's an uglier C, but Go is, it can be nice. It can be nice to read if it's written by the right person, and just some good Go examples here. C, that looks like I didn't finish typing something. So I was trying to, maybe a couple years ago, I thought, oh, I need to learn C. It's really important. I'm not a real developer if I don't know C. So I started reading books about C, and then I found, like, I stumbled upon this library. I don't know why, or it's actually an application. I don't know why, but it's the cleanest C that I had seen before. Like I looked at it, I was like, oh, never mind. C isn't that scary. It's really just like it's just code. It's not weird. It's not like look at this. It's really simple, and this is a process monitor. It's like NodeMon. Maybe NodeMon came from him from Mon. Who knows? Who knows? Someone knows. So this, yeah, look at this if you want to look at some nice C code, some interesting stuff. So, I mean, is he? So this was another answer to the question underneath the last one. Supposedly Lee Johnson, like that's a real person, had dinner. It's very important that it was a vegetarian dinner. That gives, I think, TJ more life. And they got drunk. And so he says that TJ exists. And also, if you look at the comments on the answer that said he was a hive mind, TJ answers it, and he says something about I don't even know. I don't get the joke. He's making a joke. He responded though. It's cute, super cute. Yeah, meow. So anyway, yeah, that's me. If you want to see any of the resources or the slides yeah, there's a gist that this links to. It's not like weird stuff that happens on your computer. And thank you for listening to the words that I said.
Thank you for watching this talk. Down below, you can find our channel, ViennaJS, where you can find a lot of different videos about front-end and back-end JavaScript. And feel free to subscribe.